Waiting. And it says we're live. It says we're live on my end. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. My name is John Boy. I got my best friend in town with me. His name is Jake. Jake, how you doing?
I'm good, Jimmer. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I was trying to cue up the song. We don't have it queued up, but a little Talkin' Baseball. This is a terrible version.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Should this be our theme song? We haven't decided on this.
I mean, wouldn't it be bad because it's like a real song?
We'll just do that 15 seconds. Welcome to Talkin' Baseball. This is the first episode. We're streaming live on YouTube for our Patreons. It should be up on all podcast apps soon. Every Monday, every Friday, we will be coming to you. We have some experience in the podcast world. We have a Talkin' to Yanks podcast. That's right. We are Yankees fans. I think we won't be the Yankee fans you expect us to be, which is a good thing. So there's that. And we have a bunch of podcasts on the network. This is our newest endeavor. We are excited. We've been putting a lot of work into it. Jake, how are you? You got
Good.
anything you need to say to the people?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm Yankees fan. I don't know what you're talking about. I think the people find I'm just a neutral baseball fan with no biases at all.
Go Rocks.
Huge Rockies fan, huge Blue Jays fan. I mean, I got ink on skin for a reason. Yeah, man, it's exciting. We've always kind of been baseball. I think kind of cycle comes in with baseball a little bit. Like, I don't know, when you start out working in the real world, you don't watch as much baseball as you used to when you were living a fake life, whether as a kid, high school, college, whatever it may be. And now we got sucked into this Yankees world, and now we're in baseball world, and I think we're going to let it rip. I think our voices is what baseball's looking for, man. Baseball's still cool and fun and like a good time. But, I mean, even you and I were getting fed up with and, well, I guess we'll start here, but the ESPN broadcast of last night's baseball game, Dodgers Red Sox, last year's World Series goes 12 innings, and they were just leaning so far into the like, oh my God, 12 innings, we're still here. Are they going to turn the lights off? And it's like, it's kind of cool though.
Baseball. This is I don't want to get on my soapbox.
Yeah, let's don't do the whole tangent.
Anyway, baseball is a problem where the people that have the most influence about baseball downplay it all the time and say it's this boring, terrible sport. And it's like, you have all the authority to spread the cool and the fun. And we have a Sunday night baseball game tied up in the 12th inning with some weird plays at the plate and outs on third. And it's like an interesting game. And the crew was talking about how brutal it was and we should just do ties.
And like,
oh my God.
Think about this. If that was like a Sunday night basketball game and it was LeBron and Kawhi and they were in like triple overtime, like everyone would be on Twitter like, get over here now. Like these guys are doing it. Meanwhile, on the broadcast, they're basically saying we're trying to get out of here. When's the Who concert? So I don't know. I think our intro's there, and
at one point on the broadcast,
yes,
Mendoza and Vestirian, how you say his name?
Yeah, you're around it.
Contemplated whether or not the fans that are attending the 12th inning of the tied game,
right, should
leave early so they don't miss their trains, and that's what they said out loud on the broadcast. And what a bad message! The message should be, I can't believe anyone would leave their seat with a game like this going on. That's what the message would be. And they turn it to A-Rod, and he's like, I think he should bunt here.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the game.
And then the Dodgers scored, and they were like, do you think Red Sox fans are cheering so they could get out of here? And it's like, wow, yeah, that sounds like a Red Sox fan to me.
What a terrible broadcast.
They love a loss. So there we are. So
anyway, let's get back.
Hot takes and rants.
Thank you for tuning in, checking us out, giving us a chance. We have a ton of fun segments. We did 2 practice episodes. We every segment we did, we liked. We'll get your feedback. Eventually, we're going to need your help getting because it's impossible to watch every game in baseball. We did the math on it. It's like actually impossible.
Yeah.
It's like 30-something hours every day of baseball. So we're going to try and gain as much knowledge. And this is how this works: is every Monday we're going to recap the weekend series. Every Friday we'll recap the weekday series. That's pretty standard formula right there. I'm pretty happy with that. And let's just get straight into it, Jake. We have your National League report. It's going to be brought to you by Jake Storielli. Jake, what happened this weekend in the National League?
Last night in Fenway.
I'm looking at this. Great job by you, as always.
Always.
I'm looking at
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Let's be honest.
I'm looking at this, Jake.
Yeah.
You just told us the Pirates and the Reds lost series coming out of the break.
Uh-oh.
The trade deadline's July 31st.
Uh-oh. Ticking time bomb.
There's no waiver wire deadline.
No. July
If
31st.
the Pirates and the Reds lose their next series, they should trade. They should get pieces while they can, especially the Reds. They have a lot to offer teams.
2 weeks into the deadline, away from the deadline.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, those teams needed to come out of the gates flying, and they did not.
Well, and it's, man, I mean, even the NL Central is a mess, and I don't know how it's going to sort out. Because, I mean, the Brewers, man, like, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Giants. They're not going to punt. I mean, they're all in with Yelich. Like, they're not going to think they're going anywhere.
But that's the difference.
The Reds, the Pirates have been mentally out in my head throughout. Same with the Reds. There was that stat like a week ago that the Reds were 4.5 games out. No, they're not. They're 4 teams out from being first in their division, and I think that's the better way to look at it. The Reds have been out for me, and the Pirates, I mean,
yeah, but I'm
sorry, Uncle Rick. He loves the Pirates, but no.
I think that the weirder thing is you got to think, if they make the playoffs, do they have the magic to go deep? And they don't. So just
don't tell that to Derek Dietrich, because he has the magic.
They got a lot of pieces.
I'm saying
take advantage of the trade deadline, man. But yeah, we'll get more into that earlier. The Cubs lost. No, what did the
Cubs swept?
Cubs swept, which they needed because they went into the break pretty beat up. They needed it, so they distanced themselves from Milwaukee. It's now 2.5 games in the Central, which isn't bad. And the Reds are now 6.5. They were 4.5 at the break, but yeah, the Reds, time to sell. You guys got pieces. Go get yourself something for the future. The West is a shit show. The Dodgers. We said this on one of our practice episodes. I think it's a great point that you had. Because Arizona, Colorado, and San Diego are all so close, all 3 of them probably miss out on the wild card because they're going to spend the rest of this half beating each other up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a game of chicken a little bit because San Francisco, they've been playing decent baseball of late, but I mean they're not going to get into this thing. San Diego got swept. They were 500 going into the break. Now you're 45-48, and it's like, that's going to be a tough message, but you kind of have to you should still be selling what you can because you have all your young guys. Machado's going to be there next year. Kind of build it up because the Dodgers are running away. Arizona and Colorado are playing a game of chicken of who's going to sell off some parts.
I think Zona's going to trade
because my Rockies don't want to. And the Diamondbacks, man, I mean, they don't want to either. They just got Jake Lamb back. Eduardo Escobar's a good player. They sold before the season, and we saw when the Yankees went in there earlier this year, when we saw them, I don't know, Arizona's looking for a fun environment and good baseball. They're not – I think Arizona's the kind of team that you have to think about if they start putting a bad product on the field, I mean, tough to go to a D-backs game.
It's too hot.
It's hot.
It's way too hot.
Yeah.
Can you imagine living in Arizona and there's no ocean?
It's nice. It's a getaway. I think that's their biggest sell right now. A little air conditioning.
No. If it's that hot, I need an ocean.
Go in the dome, baby. That's their sell.
Gross.
$15 for free AC.
Yeah. Come live in the air conditioning.
What's going on in the American League, Jim?
American League report. Here we go. The Rays and the Orioles faced off. The Rays took 2 out of 3. They crushed them in the first game. Then they lost a close one. Yankees and the Jays were tied at 1, and the Yanks win the rubber match. So the Jays and the Orioles both lose. It's kind of the story of the AL East. All the bird teams are losing this year. Sorry to all the birds out there. Like you said, the Red Sox lost the series to the Dodgers. Tough team to come out of the break if you're the Red Sox. You got to face the Dodgers right away, who are one of the special teams going right now. In the Central, the Twins and the Indians faced off. The Twins won the first 2 games. A good start by Bieber in the third game helped the Indians avoid the sweep. Good job, Justin Bieber, pride of Cleveland.
Oh,
they're saying he's the new LeBron.
You just called him Justin?
Do you think he gets called a different name?
Shane. Name he's been called his whole life.
How many people in the clubhouse do you think just call him Justin?
They call him Biebs. You stay away from the front name. He's got the last name. It's been his nickname forever.
I know, but
Biebs. You don't mix in the Justin.
No, it's like a dig. What's up, Justin?
No,
that happens to him a lot.
Biebs.
That happens. Yeah, but that's when you're being friendly. When you're being unfriendly, you call him Justin. That's what happens. Anyway, the Tigers and the Royals in a series that no one gives a shit about. Both these teams have now combined for 62 wins, Jake.
Not bad.
32 and 29. But the Detroit avoided the sweep. The Royals won. No one cares. Who had a really good start? Max Keller or something. Brad Keller. Yeah, he had a really good start. White Sox and the Athletics squared off, and the A's swept them with a weird walk-off at the end. But this is big for the A's, and the White Sox aren't contending, but they want to have fun. But a sweep is pretty big for the A's right now, who are making trades, and we'll get into that later. Mariners and the Angels faced off in an emotional set, and the Angels swept the Mariners. So good for them. Angels doing some sweeping. Astros and Rangers had a 4-game set. The Rangers took the first 2 games, which is kind of surprising because Houston was kind of limping into the break. But then Houston came out. They won 7-6 in extras. Then 12-4 in the final set. There was a walk-off in there as well. The standings didn't move that much. The Yankees are still in first in the East, up 6. Minnesota Twins still up 6.5. They actually helped themselves out, beating Cleveland, who's in second place. And Houston's up 6 in the West. Oakland gained some ground with the sweep. I mean, Oakland and the Angels both swept, and they're still 6 and 11 games back. The wild card, the AL is really a 3-team race in our brains, maybe 4 for the wild card, but that's what happened. Nothing catastrophic in the standings happened first game out.
Yeah, don't tell that to our White Sox fans because they're getting that wild card. No, they're not. But again, like this sweep for the White Sox is probably a good thing for them. They dropped to 8.5 out of the wild card. The White Sox came into this year. They wanted Harper. They wanted Machado. They signed their cousins and brothers, literally. And I think for the White Sox, like, you guys had a fun first half, and a lot of good things happened for you. Juan Moncada had a good first half. That's good news because he was pretty bad before that. What's his name? Giolito. He had a really good first half. You've got some things to build around now.
Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, they established this culture in the dugout, which is key.
good times. Kopech will come back next year. I don't know. Like for the White Sox, I think if any of our White Sox fans are listening, they may not be pleased, but they may be very pleased because if you're a smart White Sox fan, you're not going to jump LA, Texas, Boston, Cleveland, Oakland, Tampa to get into the wild card.
So we have the same take, basically. I said it with the Reds and the Pirates. You're saying with the White Sox. Losing out of the break was probably better for them. Well, but not really fanhood because fans want to win, but organizationally, like, all right, good. Let's not break our backs to win right now because trading and establishing for next year has always been the goal.
Right.
We were kind of got a little sidetracked with this winning. Doesn't that suck when you get sidetracked by winning?
Sidetracked by winning. The Texas Rangers, asked them about it. They're 50-44, and Lance Lynn looks incredible. You might hear him mentioned later.
They have so many pieces to trade. The Rangers have so many pieces to trade. If they were out of it, they got Lance Lynn, they got Hunter Pence, they got Mike Minor, but they're being sidelined by winning. They might
be the team that most teams are rooting for to sell because they have the most pieces.
Yeah, but they're getting fucked because they keep winning.
Yeah. Well, good for them. And I think, I guess on the other side of that, like, I like what Texas is doing. Texas had a winning culture a few years ago, the Ron Washington years, and they're doing good things. And it makes sense well, I don't want to say it makes sense because I saw Lance Lynn throwing 98 on the black the other day, and that we haven't seen that since his St. Louis days, kind of. But like it does make it's not like you're looking around and like, all right, our guys are doing bad, but we're still winning games. Like Pence had a huge first half. Lance Lynn, Mike Minor had huge first halves, and they've got the young talent. We saw Joey Gallo flaunted in the All-Star game. So I don't know. What else do we need from these series from the weekend?
No, that's all. Let's move into the major storylines, and the biggest one, and this seems a little old now because baseball. So first home game, everyone's wearing the number 45, and the numbers surrounding it are insane. Trout hit a home run that was 454 feet, which in parentheses, StatCast is bullshit, and I don't believe it, but that's cool that's what we get to say happened.
Yeah.
The no-hitter, combined no-hitter is wild. And then the other thing was the last time a no-hitter happened in California was on the day of Skaggs' birth. So emotional, weird. I once brought like something like this to my history teacher. It was like that Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, their secretaries had the different names, and my teacher looked at me and said, "You can find weird numbers about anything in the world if you want. This isn't interesting to me." And I said, "Oh, okay." So he kind of bummed me out, and now I have a bummer brain about things like this.
Yeah, I'll say this because I think that bummer brain is true because you saw there's a lot of people on the internet that were like, "All right, well there was one run, 9 hits or whatever it was," and they started adding up the numbers. And it's like, yeah, if you start reaching around the scoreboard,
the birthday one's cool.
The birthday one is super cool.
The 454 home run, StatCast is a load of shit anyway. So
half cool, like it. I mean, the biggest thing is you have a field of people wearing 45 for a pitcher who passed away. You throw the no-hitter. I mean, it was unbelievable. It's
incredibly emotional. His wife or mom threw out the first pitch.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
And it's the beauty of sports. It's people that don't like sports, which is fine. If that's not your prerogative, that's okay. But sports is the original reality television. Sports is that. If you watch any reality TV or anything around reality TV, sports is that. And the only thing that was comparable, and I mean, people were posting this, so this is an original thing, but the D. Gordon homer after Jose Fernandez passed. I mean, one of the least power-hitting players of all time hits a homer and starts crying around the bases, and you're just like, Jesus. So it was cool, power of sports and all that. And I think Felix Pena, might hear him later. He was 7 innings of that no-hitter, so shout out to him, but doesn't get much cooler than that.
Yeah, well, the Rays almost tried to make it even worse.
Tried to one-up them, and it's like,
that was so rude.
That's pretty rude.
The Rays had a perfect game going, and it's like, Rays, the This is the Angels' moment. So why don't you back
First hitter in the ninth. And I think you and I talked about the All-Star break a little bit, and we wanted it longer, and then it happened, and we were like, we want it shorter. And I think we definitely saw a little bit this weekend of rust. I think it's kind of crazy that
I wanted to do a big report on all the starting All-Stars because I saw Freddie Freeman, Alonso had terrible weeks. So I wanted to do a report on that and see like how the hitters did, but then I was like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think there was if I were to guess, I think there was slightly better pitching performances, but it's funny how you hear the general lines, creatures of habit, and then you kind of see it and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jim, I think the other news from this weekend, and you saw us starting to hint in it in our AL and NL reports, trade deadline is sneaking up big time. We had the first couple of trades. Andrew Cashner stays in the AL Beast. He goes from the Orioles to the Red Sox. He's been pitching well lately. Couple 17-year-olds going for Andrew Cashner. Any Elio Prado or Nolberth Romero fans out there, get ready for Baltimore in 6 years if either of them are good. And Homer Bailey gets traded straight up for minor league infielder Kevin Merrill.
Yeah, let's stay on Cashner first.
Sure.
Talk about this. Cashner, his ERA is not great on his career or this season, but he's been pitching really good. His last 7 games are really, really good. This is weird.
Yeah.
Cashner, there was an article that came out that said he would almost refuse a lot of trades to leave Baltimore because he likes Baltimore so much.
Right.
Also, when he was with Miami, Don Mattingly's in Miami, and he makes his players shave his beard, and Cashner hated it. He said it's part of him. He couldn't pitch without his beard. So the fact he gets to go to the Red Sox and be his ugly self and gets to like ugly himself up with a weird haircut and a beard, I'm happy for him there. He found a home.
Right.
He does have another year on his contract, so the Red Sox got him. Being only 2 17-year-olds is kind of, it's not like shocking, but it's like, man, people really overvalue trades. And I'm not saying anyone thought Cashner was going to be worth a lot, but I guarantee you any mock trade the Orioles fans were looking at or Red Sox fans for Cashner included something better than these 2 17-year-old prospects that are complete. They have value, but like complete crapshoots. Yeah. If it was a true rental, this would make 100% sense. The fact they have them for next year too. Maybe like someone who's in Double-A, Jake. These guys aren't even in A-ball. It's not like they're 17-years who are flying up the charts.
No, Dominican Rookie League.
Dominican Rookie League. They haven't even really started their professional careers yet.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting things going on. So you talk about Red Sox fans talking about what they'd pay for Andrew Cashner. I don't think they were talking about it. Andrew Cashner wasn't being mentioned. And I think that's kind of the funny dynamic with this is that Andrew Cashner 7 starts ago kind of wasn't a trade piece. Like if you traded for Andrew Cashner, your team wouldn't be too excited about it. And you mentioned that second year of the contract. That's actually part of the risk of this trade. And I think people are overlooking that. That being said, because don't want to come off as Yankee-centric, Cashner has been really good his past 7 starts. He's in the AL East, so he's been doing it there, and that's always a big thing for AL East people. I think it's interesting that extra year is a coin flip for both teams. I mean, if Andrew Cashner comes over and he's the Andrew Cashner that's a career 5 ERA guy, I mean, that becomes a hindrance to the Red Sox. If he comes out and he pitches well, that's a bonus for the Red Sox, and they did really well in this. So I think, I think there's the normal coin flip of when a guy comes over, what are they going to look like? I think both teams kind of flipped the coin here, though. I think the Orioles were kind of betting on his whole body of work and saying, hey, we like these 2 kids and we're doing a big rebuild here in Baltimore. We'd rather have these 2 17-year-olds in-house than whatever Andrew Cashner can provide us. And I mean, Andrew Cashner, if he has 2 bad starts, what's his return? You know? So I don't know. I kind of like it for both teams. And I mean, I say that again, with very little hopes that Elio Prado or Nolberth Romero make it to the majors, and the Sox bring in an arm, which it kind of moves their chain of events with Evaldi going to the closer. And
Well, that's
maybe
the
it
big
can line
question.
things up for that.
How much does this help the Red Sox? Because the biggest thing this does is allows them for Eovaldi to go become their closer or, a big part of their bullpen, which is a role that his stuff plays, but we've never seen him do it. He's never been that dude to get handed, like the mental aspect of it.
Right.
He's never been that dude to get handed the ball. So, like, Cashner helps the starting rotation. He wouldn't be in the playoff rotation for them. It's just kind of a cog to eat some innings, but it really allows Eovaldi to go to the bullpen. But is that going to be a success? And then is this the move that the Red Sox make? Because if this is the move, then that's basically the season, and they need to do more moves. So if I was a Red Sox fan, I think you can hopefully say that they're going to try and do more to help the Red Sox, the front office, but that's what you thought in the offseason. They didn't get anyone. Now you promised Eovaldi he'd be a starting pitcher for you when you signed him. Now he's in the bullpen, and you had traded for another starting pitcher. Eovaldi's like, yo, dude, I'm the starting pitcher you traded for or you signed. So I don't know. Bit weird.
Yeah, and so the Cashner stats, which we read, his past 5 starts, 32 innings pitched, 1.41 ERA. Before that, he was 5.04 flat ERA on the season. So hey, maybe he figured something out and he's going. I mean, he's been around for a while, so it's not like he's a young guy figuring it out. And yeah, I mean, my counter to your argument is if you're a Red Sox fan, you hope this isn't the last trade.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's rude to say. If you're an optimist, though, you can say, I mean, there's a bullpen effect that happens when you add a guy. So, and I mean, say Cashner's solid, or even if he's not that solid, but he's around and he's your 5th starter. If Eovaldi can go and he can close, which, I mean, his stuff can play up in the bullpen because he's always had that fastball, then if he locks down that closer role, which has been a problem for the Sox all year, Brazier moves down, the other guys all move down a notch in lower leverage innings. So there can be effect there, and this can work. I think it is a little bit more of a Hail Mary than Sox fans would want. But they're under that salary cap number, so that's how baseball kind of operates now.
Yeah, luxury tax. Yeah, another trade, Homer Bailey to the A's. This is just the prospect that they brought someone in is probably exciting for Oakland.
Yeah.
They sweep the White Sox, and they have a walk-off, and they make a trade. So right now the vibe in Oakland is, hey, we're doing this. Like, this is one of the seasons we're going to try to win. How about that? Once every 5 years, this shit happens. Let's do it. Homer Bailey's not the sexiest name anymore. Well, actually, as a name, Homer Bailey is pretty great name.
Yeah.
But he's getting older. We did see him, Jake, pitch a gem versus the Yankees earlier, 6 innings pitch, 1 earned run, and he looked good doing it. I remember that. He's got, what has he got, a sinker ball?
This year so far, 90 innings pitched, 81 strikeouts. So his strikeout per 9 has kind of moved up. And you wonder, I mean, did the A's see something? Is this going to be a move that we're like, wow, how about those A's? They made a nice move for Homer Bailey. Or were the A's saying, hey, we've got an MLB arm here that, we might be able to get some good innings out of. And he's had a really good stretch recently too. He had one bad start in his last 5 games started. So both these starters with their last 5 are pretty impressive. 29 innings pitched, 2.48 ERA, 26 strikeouts. So I don't know. I think both of these moves might have been kind of anticipatory of not the busiest trade deadline, and kind of 2 teams that were like, we're not making the big move this year. So if the best arms available are Marcus Stroman and then maybe Mad Bum, if he's willing to come to your teams, maybe these 2 teams were like, we just want to get ahead of this and we want to get an arm to help get us through. Well, and they got Cashner and Bailey.
These are 2 guys that are not going to be on the playoff roster, like, getting starts. Maybe Cashner moves to bullpen. But the A's had a big opening with Frankie Montas going down for PEDs. Cheating. So now they need another starter. But fires Anderson, even who's this? Bassett and that crazy, and then they have the opener. Who's that crazy dude with the mustache?
Mangden,
Daniel Mangden. Like they piece together starts, but I mean, good for these guys. It's good for baseball and good for us on this show because it's a good appetizer of trades before we get into the real stuff.
And I think, Jim, I mean, do we want to do the whole trade deadline spiel?
Yeah, I did a lot. I put a lot of effort. I won't go as long as Jake's probably scared I'm going to go on this.
No,
but I did.
I'm excited for how excited you are about this.
I did a lot of research because this is what spurned this off. So this is World Series deadline moves of the past years.
I want to lay the groundwork a little bit.
But you didn't really understand where I was coming from yesterday. So
no, I did. I think I'm less surprised than you are. But we'll see.
I'm not surprised.
We'll see. Okay, I guess that's what's surprising to me.
I'm zero surprised. I'm proving a point.
Exactly. So, on Yankees Twitter, one of the sexiest things to yell is the fact that, this team isn't where it needs to be. This team's not complete yet. We got to get another arm. And I think what got to young James here was the fact that every team at the deadline goes out and makes moves. There's not a complete team at the deadline, whether it's smaller things, bigger things, most of the time, pretty significant things. Every team makes a move. So with that,
so
I give it to you, James.
I went through the past 8 World Series winners. I think 8. I was going to do 10. I got tired. It was a lot of work. Basically, I want to say what Jake said. Every team changes. And then I just wanted to see, all right, well, the World Series winners, let's see what moves they made and how much it actually helped them. And some it helped a ton, and some it didn't. And it was interesting to see what moves they made that kind of just didn't or did. So 2018, the Red Sox added Steve Pearce, Nathan Eovaldi, and Ian Kinsler. Ian Kinsler became a defensive replacement. He got innings in the playoffs, but he wasn't a hero. Steve Pearce, World Series MVP, was great for them from the day he stepped on the field. Platooned at first with Moreland and was just phenomenal. Great. He went those 6 extra innings, ate a lot of innings, pitched really well, came out of the bullpen, had a 1.61 ERA in the postseason. So the 2018 Red Sox, their additions helped them. Pearce and Eovaldi helped them win the World Series.
Oh, yeah.
2017 Astros, you got Justin Verlander is the biggest piece.
I mean, that's the nuke.
That's the nuke.
That changed the history of baseball. He was available to any team that wanted him.
Yeah.
Because his contract looked like an albatross. And again, if he went to the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers, I mean, I think we're talking about any of those teams as starting a mini dynasty, and now Houston has them.
Yeah. So he was amazing. 6 games in the postseason. Justin Verlander went 6 games, 36.2 innings pitched, 2.21 ERA. They went 5-1 in his starts in the playoffs. They don't win that World Series without him. I can say that firmly. They also tried out Francisco Liriano. He did not work out. And Cameron Maybin, they picked up off waivers as well. No one else wanted him. And he was a defensive replacement that played in a lot of games, defensive replacement, but still. They picked him up, and he played a part. The 2016 Cubs was wild. Their bullpen was so bad that from June 20th, they scratched and clawed and just picked up relievers left and right. They picked up Mike Montgomery, who actually helped them a lot in the regular season. He came out of the pen. He started games, 17 games, 2.82 ERA in the regular season. He appeared in 11 games in the postseason and only lost or furthered the lead in 3 of them. So in, 8 games, he did his job. In the postseason, there's not that many games. He almost pitched in all of them. Aroldis Chapman's the biggest one here. But there was other guys. There was Joel Peralta. Not Joel Peralta. There was some other that I didn't write down their names. They tried. They made 1 or 2 appearances, and then they kicked him to the curb. They finally got their dude in Aroldis Chapman.
And this was the Magic Cubs year, and they finally hit their tipping point. Because you're right, we did leave a couple names out that you'd remember as journeyman type reliever that the Cubs were like, hey, if we could get a couple good months out of you, that'd be huge for us. They finally caved, and Aroldis Chapman was available because the Yankees were out of it that year, one of the few years they were, and they got Gleyber Torres out of that. And now we're reaping the benefits. But the Cubs' hand was kind of forced, being the Chicago Cubs and what their bullpen had done that year. But I mean, I think in these teams, in these three teams alone, there's now been a World Series MVP, Justin Verlander, who I just said changed the course of baseball, and Aroldis Chapman, who at the time was as dominant as closer there was in the sport.
In the regular season, Chapman appeared in 24 games after the trade. He blew one game. In the postseason, he appeared in 13 games. Madden abused him. He blew 2. One was game 7, so a lot of people think like, oh, he sucked. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pitched a lot. In situations he had never pitched. Joe Smith was another guy. He had 12 scoreless innings in the regular season, Jake, and didn't make the postseason roster. So
tough, that postseason crunch.
All right, here we go. 2015 Royals.
Yep.
They added Johnny Cueto, Ben Zobrist, and Johnny Gomes. Johnny Gomes did nothing and didn't appear in the postseason. But at that point, he was like a lucky charm because he had been on so many World Series teams in a row, Red Sox, Giants, whatever. Cueto, 13 games started, and the team went 4-9. He had a 4.76 ERA. He did start 4 playoff games, though. 2 good, 1 bad, and then 1 great playoff game in the World Series. A complete game, 1 earned run.
That's what gets remembered.
So that's huge. Ben Zobrist, World Series MVP. In the postseason, he had a 880 OPS, 365 on base percentage. They traded for him. He becomes the World Series MVP. So now we've got the list of people now. If you're talking about like Steve Pearce, Justin Verlander, Aroldis Chapman, Ben Zobrist. Those guys weren't on the team at the deadline or at the break. Two World Series MVPs and arguably one of the most dominant starting pitchers and one of the most dominant relievers there's ever been. Yeah. 2014 Giants. This one was interesting. Jake Peavy. That was their only move, Jake. They traded for Jake Peavy. And in 12 starts after the trade, he went 8-4, or the team went 8-4 in his starts with a 2.17 ERA. He was bad in the World Series, though, like really bad in the World Series. They lost both his starts, so they won the World Series despite his starts. But I was like, that doesn't make sense. They had to add more people. They called up Panic, who became their cog. And Belt came off the DL. He was riddled with injuries that year. In September, he finally got healthy. He hit safely in all 7 games in the World Series.
Yeah, I guess, and this is where you and I start to veer a little differently because for me, the trade deadline is showing your team that you want to win. It's your GM going out and adding a player to improve your team. That's a big thing without the team, within the team, excuse me. And then Jake Peavy, I guess what happens in the postseason is kind of coin flippish for me. Like we've seen guys like Alex Rodriguez have a bad postseason. Mm-hmm. Like it's a 7-game set. Any player in baseball can have a bad 7 games. And so that's why like I still count Jake Peavy as like a huge trade deadline acquisition. He went 8-4, 2.17 ERA.
The team went 8-4.
In his games, excuse me, which still that's better. That's really good.
Yeah.
And his 2.17 ERA is still his. So I still think like obviously like Steve Pearce winning the World Series MVP. That is what it is forever and good for him. But Jake Peavy's a guy who won a Cy Young. He was off of his Cy Young pace at this point, but he came in and he was a huge factor for him. So In my head, it still counts just as much as everything else because it changes the way your whole season develops. It changes who else is throwing innings. It changes the way your bullpen works. It changes everything.
Yeah, and the point I would make here is that even though they didn't trade for Joe Panic or Belt, they didn't have them at the break. If they didn't think they could call them up or that they were going to be healthy, they would have made a trade for those positions, most likely. The 2013 Red Sox, who they traded for Jake Peavy as well, and he was not really good for them. He was bad in the CS in the World Series. They traded for Quentin Berry as a defensive replacement, and he made the roster in every postseason series. That's kind of and then they called up Xander Bogaerts and Brandon Workman, who were clutch for them. Xander Bogaerts was a young dude. He had an 893 OPS in the postseason. After he had 44 at-bats in the regular season, Jake, and 27 in the postseason. He wasn't even he was a September call-up that became a true cock in their postseason run. Workman had 8.2 scoreless innings. And that was that. The next one, and this is the last one I do because I know I've done a lot of info now. The 2012 Giants, Marco Scudero, they traded for him in 61 games post-trade. He had an 859 OPS and a 385 on-base percentage. In the postseason, 377 on-base percentage, 767 OPS in 16 games. He was kind of like the dude, not the dude, but he was a part of that World Series win, Marco Scudero. So no team has just sat still in the last couple of years, sat still at the break and said, now we're rolling with what we have and won the World Series. Every World Series team has made additions or brought someone up. The 2009 Yankees are the biggest team that didn't do anything really.
And they also spent the most money in free agency ever, I believe, before that.
Yeah.
So,
but defensive replacement is my biggest thing. We got Quentin Berry, who made postseason starts. We had who else was there? There's Chris Coughlin. He became a defensive replacement for the Cubs. Cameron Maben, Ian Kinsler. So good teams that get defensive replacements. The Yankees went out and did it with Echeverria. They didn't win last year, but that's the thing.
I think you could also say, I mean, there might be some teams that already have that guy, like the teams that haven't traded for defensive replacements on this list. You might already have your guy that's your speedster defense guy.
Terrence Gore.
Terrence Gore, shout out. So, yeah, if that's what you guys wanted on the first episode, a little Marco Scudero talk, we got it. And, yeah, if you're got your Twitter fingers out right now and you're about to say there's no way our team makes the World Series without making a move, well,
every team makes moves.
Every team will make a move. Yeah. So there you go.
There you go. That's our big conversation for today. Now we're going to get into some fun stuff to recap. Couple segments to recap the series that were. First one, we got Jake's standout performance. Floor is yours, Jake. These 3 games after the break, who impressed you?
I wanted you to make a nice song out of it or something.
Jake's standout performance.
All right, I lied. I didn't want that. Everyone calls him. Hey, bringer of rain.
Hey.
Look out there. Josh Donaldson and my Atlanta Braves, man, they've still got the lead in the AL East. In a 3-game set, he had 6 runs, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. One of those games was a 2 home run, 4 RBI game. Without those, they wouldn't have won that game. I know that's a hot take. Josh Donaldson, a guy that can get hot in a hurry. In
Atlanta, that's pretty easy to do.
Oh, yeah. You can start swimming pretty good down there, especially dog days. Whoo! Start swimming real good.
August in Atlanta? Sounds like hell.
He plays an important role in this team.
Does he?
He does, Jim. He splits up Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis, your guy. Greek God of Walks Part 2. And Josh Donaldson's just having a really good year. He's got 21 home runs on the season now, on pace to land in the 30s, which he was at a couple years ago. And I don't know, Josh Donaldson has had a lot of injuries. There were some people that didn't know he got the 1-year big money. People were scared to give him long-term because they don't know if his body was going to hold up anymore. So, I just think it was the Nationals are coming. The Nationals and Phillies are coming for the Braves. The Nationals have the pitching, and they've kind of turned their season around quietly. Like the Nationals were sellers 3 weeks ago, and now people are on the Nationals train. And guess what? If they make the playoffs, even if they make the wild card game, Scherzer.
Yeah, the Nationals are
and if they do, then Strasburg's having a good year, and Corbin is too. So the Nationals are a serious what to watch for. And the Phillies, I mean, Harper had a bad first half. Are they going to get it going? So I think it was important for the Braves to come out and start the second half with a winning series to show, because when they start bleeding, those other teams are looking for them. So a little love for bringer of rain.
Bring me some rain, please.
That's why they brought him to Atlanta to cool off.
Yeah, in the summer.
Wow.
Touch me some rain.
Touch me my wine. Jimmy, who's your standout performance?
My standout performance is a guy named Phillip Ervin.
Perv.
You ever heard of him?
Perv.
You ever heard of Phillip Ervin?
Yeah.
Phillip Ervin, first-round pick for the Reds back in 2013, 27th overall. Played the last 2 years. Not a lot, but he's having a good season right now, Jake. Outfielder, pinch hitter. He's having a good year right now. 356 batting average, 415 on base percentage. Not the most at-bats because I think he missed all of May and April.
Oh, my God.
It's overslept.
It's his birthday.
Today's his birthday?
Yeah.
Well, that's why he's my standout performance. He
Wow.
went on July 12th. He went 6 for 6, Jake.
Yeah.
1 double, 1 triple, 3 RBIs, 1 run scored, and 1 stolen base. Now here, this was in Coors, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was
so
a
that's,
wild game. It was like a 16.
There was
something.
a couple Coors effect game. 45 runs in the final 2.
But here's what's impressive. All right. He had never had more than 3 hits in a game in the MLB, and he only had 3 hits once in 2017. No other player has had 6 hits in a game this season. In 2018, only 1 player did it, Springer. In 2017, only 1 player did it, Rendon. So this is a cool feat. Not a lot of people have 6 hits in a game. He went 6 for 6. Here's what's even more impressive in my mind.
Okay.
His first hit, single. His next hit, triple. His next hit, double. Home run away from the cycle in a slop fest game. That's like 16-9 final score or whatever. You'd expect he's just swinging for the fences every time, get the cycle. He has 1 home run this season, not his game. You know what he does? He goes single, single, single.
Slapping around.
You know what's more impressive than a cycle? Going 6 for 6. Happens less.
Yeah, would have liked to have that home run, though. Yeah, good for Phil Ervin. You wonder what he's thinking. Former first-round pick.
He's probably wondering when his mom's going to
Reds
text
team.
him for his birthday.
He's probably hoping a couple of these guys get traded so he can get some run because he's 27 today. So late blooming. And Jim, I've got good news. Sometimes we run into some bad Twitter handles and stuff on this show.
Okay.
Mr. Magic Irvin.
Mr. Magic Irvin.
That's pretty good.
It's a little steal.
Magic is so well known that I think you can spin off that. So I like it. Okay.
It's better than Craig Biggio or Kevin Biggio's.
Oh my God.
Doing it big Gio.
Doing it big Gio time. That's tough, Kevin. Sorry for throwing you under the bus because it probably won't be the last time. Cav Daddy. Good for Phil.
Good for Phil.
Good for Phil. Jim, now I think it's time your favorite segment of the show.
Slump Watch.
Slump Watch. Damn, got me.
Yeah, lasted long.
Who do you got on Slump Watch, Jim?
I got Twite Smith Jr. from our favorite Baltimore Orioles.
Your
Baltimore Orioles. Twite Smith Jr., one of the worst arms I've seen in left field to date.
Yeah.
We're not talking about his arm, Jake. We're talking about the thing that he holds. It's an extension of his arm. It's the bat.
The bat.
The bat. It's been brutal. He has 0 hits in his last 26 plate appearances.
It's not good.
That's about as high as you can count.
It's not good.
0 hits. He's got 2 walks. Good for you. You know what? We need to shame those pitchers. Can you bring that up? Can you find me the 2 pitchers that have walked Twite Smith?
No. No, I'm not doing that. It's a friendly show.
No, those pitchers need
Except
to get.
for Cavendish. Yeah.
Those pitchers need to get shamed, and I'll shame them eventually throughout the show. 0 for his last. Oh, it's not. It's 0 for his last 24. No hits, last 26 plate appearances. I dive deeper, Jake.
Okay.
3 hits in his last 30. In his last 43 plate appearances.
Yeah.
And in his last 43 plate appearances, still only those 2 walks. So those pitchers, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Once I quit reading these stats, I'm going to go 10 strikeouts in his last 40 plate appearances, an 0.79 average in his last 43 plate appearances. Hasn't gotten a hit. With the All-Star break now, splitting this up, he hasn't got a hit in over a week. And he's been playing every day. So Twite Smith Jr., you are officially on my slump watch.
And Jim, before you go hunt down those pitchers, give me your next one because I can build off of it. And while you hunt down those 2 pitchers,
Okay.
I hope it's the same guy. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Oh my God! All right, the next. This one's a little tongue in cheek, a little more fun.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso, the home run derby champ, Mr. Serious Pete. 1 hit this series coming after the break. Now, did he get jinxed? Because he got 10 at-bats, Jake.
Yeah.
1 hit, 7 Ks.
Yeah.
Wow. Got that home run swing.
So as you go hunt down these pitchers that walked Twite Smith Jr., Jimmy, Vlad Jr., I didn't have him on here, 2 for 12 since the All-Star break. So if you're one of those people that want to hunt down the home run derby, Vlad's 2 for 12, Pete's 1 for 10. I didn't have Vladdy Jr. on my slump watch, but I wanted to feed the beast on that one. My slump watch, Jim, I'll hit him quick. Benny and the Jets, Benintendi, he goes 1 for 13 to start after the All-Star break. He's kind of had a rough year. He used to be one of the scariest cogs in that Red Sox lineup.
Some good pitching on the Dodgers, though.
Yeah, but the Sox put up a couple runs. 1 for 13 is bad. And we've got a Dodger. Who walked Twite Smith Jr.?
Guess who was the first walk I found? It's a guy I don't like.
Snell. I don't know.
Same team.
I mean, there's a lot of guys on the Rays.
Yarbrough,
nice.
The slowest
Got
pitcher
cute.
in the world. Nibbles and
cute.
pitches so slow. And the other one was Aaron Sanchez.
Okay. Who was walking
everybody? 20 walks and 6 starts. So,
yeah. Okay. So, okay.
Yarbrough and Sanchez, you've been shamed.
Yarbrough, you've been shamed. All right. And my other quick hitters I had on Slump Watch, Joey Wendell, he went 2 for 14. Why he's on there is against the Orioles, and they put up big runs, so that's tough.
Didn't get invited to the party.
When all your teammates are filling up the stat sheet. A couple of those teammates we're going to talk about later. That's a tough look for Joey Wendell. Corey Seager, who was in that Red Sox series, he went 0 for 11, no walks. That's a tough look.
Yeah, his brother texted him and was like, yikes, dude, what's going on?
Copying my stuff. We've had Seager bros.
Both Seagers have made the Slump Watch 3 episodes in.
And then I just thought Trey Mancini, he also went 0 for 11, no walks. So those two guys tied for the most at-bats without getting on base. So I thought they should be mentioned.
Bummer.
And I think we've only got one pitcher on here, Jim, if you want to go get him.
Yeah, it's a light slump watch. Jordan Zimmerman. And then the Royals, 13 hits and then 8 hits. So
tough to put a pitcher on the slump watch with just the series after the All-Star break.
Yeah, but it can delve a little farther than just the series. Only 4 strikeouts in his last 2 starts and 14 earned runs. So Zimmerman, we're watching your next start closely. You've been warned.
Now I think, well, I was going to say we could go into the fun stuff, but Slump Watch is pretty fun. But the positive fun stuff, Jim, Dirt Nasties and Fuego.
That means on fire, baby, and like Wago.
And I'm going to start off with my guy who was actually my standout performance last week, Yuli Gurriel. I'm just going to do it quick because he's kept it rolling. It's now 8 homers in 9 games, 2 more homers from the 4 games this weekend. Jim, in 15 games, his OPS went from 681, so a below league average player, to 811, so an above league average player. So Yuli Gurriel killing it. And I've got a couple I want to rip, Jim, but I'll mention my Rays.
Rip 'em.
I'll mention my rookie Rays, Mike Brusso and Nate Lowe, or Lowe. Which one's Lowe and which one's Lowe? I think Nate Lowe.
Don't know.
Brandon Lowe on the Rays. So one of
official
our Rays fans.
Official answer, I'm not sure.
2 rookie Rays, they each had 3 homers each, and they also get the Orioles asterisk on it because they were facing the Orioles, but they're just rubbing it in Joey Wendell's face. So that sucks for him. AJ Pollock, he comes back for the Dodgers. That could be a huge piece for him. He's really good when he's healthy. He had the big hit in extras, and he's a Connecticut guy, Jim. I'll let you go. What do you like on there?
Well, I'm trying to get
there's one guy you like.
No, well, I'm trying to get some love for guys that you hate.
Okay.
And you've always hated Adam Frazier from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I mentioned him last week as my Fuego.
You just always hated him.
I think he had a bad weekend.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, his last stats are still good. He's 500.
I know.
Getting 500 in the last.
He was 600 last week.
Yeah. Well, he's still good. Watch out for him.
Tell the people about Lance Lynn a little bit.
Lance Lynn is such a joy to watch. He only throws fastballs. He's machismo and bravado. And
He's a guy that speaks to your heart.
grabs his nuts after every pitch.
The
Just
hoodies?
gross and sweaty. He says he wears his hoodies on days he doesn't start so that when he's on the mound, he feels not as hot. So he just a gross sweat ball in the dugout for 5 days. 4 days. Then he goes on the mound. He's like, wow, this is nice.
Yeah, this is a relief.
I was fucking sweating.
It's actually genius.
Yeah, smart.
Relieved to be on the mound.
Well, he comes out after the break versus the Astros, 11 Ks. You said he's throwing like 90 whatever.
Dude, 98.
Yeah, 98. This is a testament to don't sign pitchers late. Alex Cobb and Lance Lynn in 2018 did not get full spring trainings. They didn't have their muscles fully built up and all that, and they had down years. Lance Lynn, when he's right, it's so weird to watch.
It's fun.
This dude's just throwing fastballs all over the place.
Fastballs just at you.
Yeah. So I thought that was a fun start. And it was like kind of a big stage for baseball because it was a Thursday after the All-Star break. Only one game was happening. It was the Rangers versus the Astros. For the casual fan that tuned in, probably thinking like, oh, the Astros are going to kick the Rangers' ass.
Yeah.
And then Lance Lynn, and then like they're in Lance Lynn's old, and just flip the whole casual fan.
Lance Lynn's pitching for Texas? How many people said that on Thursday night?
I think the final count.
Get the final count for
899.
899.
One
Wow.
away.
Damn,
This guy started saying he's like Lance. I knew that, and that would have.
Oh yeah, I knew.
That would have got to 900.
Yeah, he's having a really good year.
That was a bit.
Wasn't he second in pitcher war?
That was a bit upsetting.
And then just listed a bunch of names. Trout had a nice weekend. The Skaggs homer we talked about. Manny Machado, he has another 3 home run weekend.
Can we talk about Trout real quick?
Yeah.
Did you see the MLB video they made for him?
No.
Dude, they figured out how to market Mike Trout. I'm going to congratulate MLB's marketing team. Yeah. I'm going to play the audio.
Okay.
I don't know if the video will be able to see it, but listen to this. They figured out how to market Mike Trout. It's awesome.
I was born to play baseball. But where I'm from, we never take anything for granted. I was raised to value hard work and practice. And this guy has trained me since high school. I grew up playing other sports, and I still make time for the things I love. My friends are a source of inspiration, and my dad is still my hero. Maybe I'm not what everyone wants me to be, but I'm exactly who I've always been. I don't play for the fame,
Oh, cut out.
All right.
the money, or the endorsements. I'm still that same old kid with a big dream and a decent swing. Some say I'm the best to play the game. Me? I just want to play.
It's cool.
Nice, kind of Batman vibe.
I was born.
They're kind of like, how do we market Mike Trout? He's not marketable. That's the marketing.
Let's talk about
Hey, shut
let's
up,
talk,
phone.
let's talk about that he can play baseball. Oh, Jimmy's phone is in a Mike Trout cycle now.
No, that's good. I was proud of him. I was like, oh, that's good. Because if you're not watching, if you don't know baseball, you'd be intrigued. You're like, they say that guy's the best ever?
Yeah.
That guy?
How come I haven't heard of him?
How come I've never heard of him?
Oh, because I'm not a weather fan. I missed the Mike Trout weather segment.
I love that. I mean, Mike Trout is
Yeah.
easy to like, but I actually like that video.
Yeah, no, Trout's starting to get there. Trout, it's
Only
it's kind of
10,
interesting.
like 10 years of being the best ever. Starting to get there.
And it's nuts that it has to be that way. But like at All-Star Weekend, there was definitely like better Mike Trout vibes. Like they even in their intro for the All-Star game, they were talking about your favorite player to watch, and like 75% of the guys were like Mike Trout because he's probably the best to ever do it. So that's good. I got Bogarts on there. We mentioned him with the Red Sox call-up in 2013. He had a big weekend. And then just my quick pitchers, Felix Pena, he was the no-hit through 7 of the Angels no-hitter. Brad Keller, only starting pitcher to go 8 innings, 1 earned run. Soraka and Wainwright in the NL go 7 scoreless. So
I don't know how
Fuego.
old Wainwright is, but for the last 5 years, I've been like, Wainwright's still around?
He's been on the Cardinals for the past 35 seasons, which is impressive.
That's very
It's coming up on the record.
Yeah, wow. Next segment, who got mad?
Who got
mad today?
Got got me again.
Good. Yeah, always one a little longer than you.
Who got mad, Jim?
Joey Votto got mad because the umpire extended the strike zone, struck him out on a pitch that's outside. In a 16-9 game, the Reds were winning in the 9th inning. Ump definitely was like, yo, this game's been brutal and long, a lot of offense. I need to open the zone up. Votto's a guy you can't do that. He knows the zone.
Right.
So he was probably like, I don't care what the score of the inning is. That's not a strike. Ump was like, yo, but Joey, it's a 9th. You guys are up 7. Let's get over, move on. He got tossed. The other one was, and this was a user submission or a listener submission or breakdown fan submission. Brian Anderson got rung up on an outside pitch as well. It was close, but it was outside. And he just like stomped on the ground, like kind of like a temper tantrum.
Good stomp. He gave the yell away from the umpire.
But he was just yelling, no, and jumping up and down. Like honestly, like a 2-year-old.
Little tantrum. Yeah, I've been there.
Been there. He got mad though.
Been there. He got mad.
That's basically it. There wasn't that much. This sometimes this segment won't even make it. Barely made it today. First show, so we wanted to introduce it.
If you've got a player on your team who got mad, reach out to us. Joey Votto's contract is an albatross, and I'm not a Votto guy.
Blah, blah, blah. Joey Votto's awesome.
Not a fan.
Big Votto fan over here.
Not a fan.
Walk-off watch.
Watch.
Walk-off watch. Walk-off watch. Texas walked off Houston. We said that. Danny Santana with an RBI single versus Osuna. Did you write this? Franco homer? Is that a walk-off?
I wrote the Franco homer. Yeah, I know we are very finite on our walk-offs. It has to be a walk-off, and it was a walk-off. It was yesterday.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the A's had a wild walk-off that I want to do a breakdown of. Is runner on second, ball too short. They threw it away, and then they have so much foul territory that the ball was just rolling around forever, and the runner ran from second to home. I think it was who's the guy whose name starts Pinder? I think it was Chad
Pinder.
I think he made it from second to home. Kind of a weird feeling because you want to walk off on a home run or something good. It's like they just threw the ball around.
I don't know. I kind of disagreed with you because what's one of the more famous Yankees-Mets plays in the past, 10 years, 15 years?
The dropped ball, but that's so embarrassing.
But that's such a fun celebration because that's literally like jaws of defeat. And now you're on the field, you're dancing on their graves. It's a different kind of celebration.
There needs to be some animosity because this one, the A's celebration was kind of muted, mundane.
I thought they were celebrating pretty good.
Yeah, but I'm an expert.
They were having a young guys celebration.
I don't know.
It was a young guys tempered celebration. I'll give you that.
It was tempered, yeah.
But it was a still young guy celebration. They were still excited.
They walked off, though. All right, next up. These are quick ones. We're running through them. Call-up watch. If there's ever a big debut, we're going to try and be all over it. Jake, who do you got?
Jim, we had a former top prospect get the call. Bubba Starling. If you're a MLB draft person, you remember this name. He was the 5th overall pick by Kansas City out of high school. I had the draft in front of me, but I'll tell you the guys who got drafted just after him, Jim. Anthony Rendon, Francisco Lindor, Javi Baez, George Springer. And I didn't go down the list any further because I thought that was getting mean. But hey, that's if you think the draft doesn't matter. But hey, Bubba Starling gets the call, 26 years old. And he got his first hit in his RBI. He's playing center field, so good for him.
Important note here, and this comes from the Beer Nerd on Reddit.
Yes.
With the call-up of Bubba Starling, MLB has broken a 13-year drought of Bubbas. The last Bubba was Bubba Crosby in 2006. So about time a Bubba came back into the MLB's life.
Yeah, so that's huge for the sport. Andres Munoz, Jimmy, gets called for the Padres, 20 years old. He was an amateur free agent, signed out of Mexico. 2 games, 2.1 innings, 0 earned runs. So welcome to the Bigs, kid. Ian Gibbott. Do you think you say that name differently, Jim?
Ian Gibbott.
He's a big boy, 250 pounds. We like that. 25 years old, 11th round pick by the Rays. 1 game, 2 inning pitch, 2 earned run. Hey, doesn't matter, dude. You got called up to the major leagues. Congrats. And Luis Escobar, 23 years old, amateur free agent out of Colombia for Pittsburgh. 2 innings pitched, 4 hits, but no earned runs, Jim.
No
so
earned runs.
He's incredible. So
escape artist.
Congrats, guys.
Congratulations. All right, award. It's time, Jake. We're going to give out an award each. Awards. I'm going to give out my award.
It was the 2011 MLB draft. Bubba Starling's been in the minor leagues for 8 years.
Giving it hell.
Playing baseball.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. All right, what's your first award, Jim?
We have a new king.
The new king.
We have a new King Gray.
King Gray.
King Gray.
Bow to you.
Do you know who gets this award?
I'm assuming you're giving it to John because you gave it to Sonny last time.
I gave Sonny won King Gray last time.
I don't think you anointed him the king, but you talked about him. You haven't talked about John yet. You've talked about Sonny.
Well, Sonny Gray is the King Gray.
He's the new King Gray, okay?
Sonny Gray and John Gray faced off the other day.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Grays. And check this out. Sonny Gray, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits.
Yeah.
John Gray, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits. 1 earned run for Sonny. 2 earned runs for John. Just barely got beat by Sonny. Sonny wins the King Gray challenge. Sonny had 9 strikeouts and 3 walks. John had 6 strikeouts, 0 walks. So I think that's actually a tie in my book.
Right.
Tie in my book. And 98 pitches for John, 103 for Sonny. Pretty similar lines. It was a great King Gray battle. I can't wait for the next one. But Sonny does win the King Gray Award this week.
Yeah, I like that, Jim. And I wish more people would reach out to me on Twitter when the Grays are facing off, because that's something I need to know live. Gandalf the Gray. All right, Jim, nice award. I think I'm going to do one award this week, and I'm going to do the newspaper award.
Wow, you've been dying to give this out.
Been dying to give out the newspaper award.
Yeah,
dying.
Goes to your mailman. There's
actually 2 winners.
Okay, but you just opened up with you're just going to give one award.
One award to 2 people. Yeah, that's fine. You talked about the Gray brothers for hours, even though they're not brothers.
So they have to say, like, we won an award. Okay.
Jim, I'm going to Daniel Murphy.
He's been hot.
And Jose Altuve.
Both hot. One so weird. One not weird.
Extra read all about it, Jim, because these guys are hitting for extra base hits. Daniel Murphy over the weekend, 3 doubles, 2 homers. Colorado would love a huge second half from Daniel Murphy. He was kind of meh the first half. If he can get a little of that Coors Field, and when Daniel Murphy gets hot, he's got to get hot.
Well, he needs to cut his hair because he's weird and everyone.
He's a guy that gets hot.
He looks like the boyfriend from Roseanne right now, and no one likes it.
Let that hair ride, D. Murph. And Jose Altuve, he had 4 extra base hits over the 3 games he played in, or the last 3 games he played in. 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. Altuve got hurt in the first half for a while, and I think if
it was his heart, right? Breakup or something like that?
Broken heart, I think. Yeah. And if Altuve's back for those Stros, man, I mean, I mentioned before the Verlander effect of how it changed baseball history. Jose Altuve was – the Astros have had a lot of injuries themselves, Altuve, Springer. If Altuve gets it going and has an Altuve-type second half, Houston, hot take, will make the playoffs.
Okay. All right, we have one final segment. This episode ran a little longer than usual. We had a big chunk of the World Series editions, and we also did a little longer of an intro than usual. We do have one more segment, and if you're still listening, we thank you so much because this is going to be, I think, our most fun segment. It's called Elevator Talk.
Elevator Talk.
We have a wheel. On the wheel is all 30 teams. We're going to spin the wheel. Whatever team it lands on, we do get some omissions because we've talked about some. We will talk about some teams in the regular show. Like, we talked about them too much. But whatever team it lands on, we will spend 2 minutes going to research, finding out what you need to know in case you're stuck in an elevator with a fan of that team, and you want to be able to have some casual conversation,
Yeah.
be informed. Are you ready, Jake?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. The wheel spinning, and we are landing on the Houston Astros.
We just kind of segued into it.
Yeah.
We?
Wow. Perfect. Good job, the wheel. Houston Astros won the World Series in 2017. They got.
You talk about that for sure.
You can talk about that. Oh, remember.
You think we're going to run it back this year?
Yep. They lost in the ALCS to Boston. They are a playoff team.
They're one of the favorites right now. It's if you see an Astros hat in the elevator, you go, wow, it's got to be Stros, Yanks, or Dodgers this year, huh?
Yep.
You got to drop one of those for sure. Altuve, all the stuff I just said about him, he was hurt. Hopefully, he has a big second half for you, right?
Yep. So they did have, for them, a rough month of June.
Sure.
They were 15-13 in June. That's not the
So
best.
maybe you stay away from June.
Stay away from June. Say like
Gurriel.
You pick it up. Gurriel's
Been going nuts. If you want to talk about young guys, who's that? Jordan Alvarez. People love him.
How strong is
boy.
Jordan? That's what you're saying.
Oh my
How
God.
strong is Jordan?
What do you think he benches? Be real with me.
290.
I'm not asking you. I'm just saying for the elevator.
Oh, for the elevator.
Not
you're asking?
290. His arms are too long. He's a baseball player.
No, just once. That's his max. One time.
And then I think, know what you're when you're slapping ass and getting out of the elevator. How do you guys get off an elevator, by the way?
Usually crawl.
I think
I'm so afraid.
you just say, hey, 7-game set. It's going to be tough for them to beat. We're going to have Verlander 3 times, Garrett Cole 2 times. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's your slap ass on the exit.
Who's their third? That's the pitcher.
I've got everyone in the elevator wearing baseball pants, so it's cool.
If you're like run into a real Astros
I like
fan,
that.
a deeper question would be like, who do you think our number 3 is right now?
You think Wade Miley's real?
Because it's Verlander and Cole. And then, they got Framber. He's not doing much. They got Colin McHugh. He's not doing much right now.
It's looking like Wade Miley as of now.
Looking like Wade Miley. So, yeah, if you run into national, who's our third right now in the playoffs? Verlander and Cole. They
you
got
think
it.
Miley could hold up in the playoffs?
They looking to trade for a third? Is that what is on their mind? Maybe.
Tony Kemp's short.
He is. They needed someone that can have a conversation with Altuve at eye level. That's why they brought Tony.
And that Brantley signing worked out. You'd say that too.
You can say that.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Enjoy your day.
Enjoy your day. Bye.
Talking Astros.
Thanks for riding the elevator with us. This was Talking Baseball. First episode. If you listen to it on YouTube and watch the show, we appreciate it. If you're a Patreon and you tuned in and out live, we appreciate that. If in the future, if you want to be live, we will probably have time to answer some questions from the chat. If you go to patreon.com/JohnBoyMedia, you will find yourself there. $2 a month supports, gets you live access and a chance to win some jerseys, and really just supports everything we're doing, and we appreciate that. All right. I think that's it, Jake. Any last words? Big series coming up. The only one I know, and because it's close to my heart, is 4 games versus the Yankees and Rays. And both teams, the Yankees can kind of put away the Rays, or the Rays can force their way into a scary situation for Yankees fans.
Big series for NL East teams, NL Central teams, and the Texas Rangers to see if they're going to sell.
Yeah, the Reds, Pirates, and Rangers. There anything else? Any other good? Like, where are the Dodgers going now?
Dodgers.
I should have planned this if we want to do it. Dodgers, Phillies. That could be fun. But there's no divisional stuff. Yeah. We're out. Thank you guys for listening. See you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye.